third phase of moon.
Wow, welcome back to Third Phase of Moon. My name is Blake Cousins, and we're live on the radio taking your calls from around the world. And I wanted to give a big shout-out who's joining us right now live. Third Phase of Moon, the #1 fans here with us. We have Elizabeth, who we're going to be speaking to soon. She just shared some photos via Skype and Gmail that we're going to go over in this radio show. We got the new Vatican City News Network who's logged in. And, wow, we got a big show. The phone lines are building up, and if you have a UFO sighting you want to report, or you've been abducted by aliens, hey, call in to 347-934-0378 and report it right here at Third Phase of Moon, the #1 YouTube channel in the world in regards to the UFO phenomenon happening right now. While the lines are building up, we got area codes from 818-970-952 and another 818, and it's still continuously getting up there. So everybody stand by. We'll get to everybody here in the hour coming up right here at Third Phase of Moon Live Radio. Elizabeth, yes, well, thanks for joining us right here. We're going to go over a few photos right now. Everybody on the radio, we're going to try and get into detail verbally on what we're about to witness. Elizabeth, you just sent us some photos earlier.
Don't say my last name, please.
Okay, Elizabeth, we'll keep it out. We'll put that out of the edit. Tell us, what are these photographs that we're looking at? Apparently there's an alien in one of these photos. Tell me the circumstance behind this photograph.
A friend of mine had been channeling them because they've been here for the last 8 months.
We're looking at a photograph. It's, there's a little, it's kind of blurry, but it looks like there's a figure behind the bushes. That's a different one. Yeah, I have 2 different pictures. Let's go over the one exactly with we're looking at the photograph of what appears to be a possible alien behind the bushes. What was the circumstance behind that? What was going on while the photo was being taken?
I was just taking pictures, and I came across it in my camera. It freaked me out, but I don't know where it came from. It was just in my camera, and my son-in-law came and helped me download it because I wanted to erase it, and I didn't want them in my backyard because they've been here for 8 months. And
so this is actual, you're stating that basically E.T. and alien was outside of just within your home premises?
Yes.
How does that make you feel? Are you afraid? What do you think these alien beings want?
I have no idea. I used to be really scared of them, but they have done no harm to me, and they have not taken me that I'm aware of. So I don't know. They're here. They're in my trees. They're in the trees making clicky noises, like click, 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 click. And I live in Minnesota where it's lots of snow. There's no bugs. It sounds like kind of like an insect click. I'm not sure. I just know that I have these pictures, and the picture of what looks like the moon, but it's not the moon. It was an orb of some sort that was opening and shutting.
We're looking at that one as well. It looks like there's kind of an electric static thing coming off of it, kind of like a lightning bolts.
Yeah, things were coming out of it. It was opening and shutting. It was like a different dimension.
You're continuously hunting these UFOs on a nightly basis? Wow, that's
on a nightly basis. My dogs will tell me when they're here. I have labs, and they seem to bark when they're close, and then I go outside and open the door, and there they are.
Elizabeth, stand by. We're taking calls right here at Third Phase of Moon. Let's go to area code 818-339. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Tell us where you're calling from and what's your name.
Oh, I'm just listening right now, but I'll push 1 when I'm ready to come on.
Well, certainly. Well, you just let me know, area code 818. Have you witnessed a UFO sighting? Do you have any opinions on what's going on around the world in regards to the UFO phenomenon? Or
Well, actually, I did. I witnessed one in 1974, but I'm not ready to talk about it right now. I'll listen for a while, but I'll push number one and put myself in the queue.
Okay, stand by 818, no problem. Let's go back to area code 970. I know we were speaking a little earlier, 970 Aqua. Tell us about your UFO sighting you've had, and basically you're thinking your thoughts behind the UFO sighting. What's going on today with you?
Oh, well, lately I've been driving down to Denver and the mountains a lot recently with my friends. We've been noticing in the sky that there are these UFOs that appear and disappear at will whenever they want. It's very unusual, but it doesn't really bother me. But, I don't really know what they're doing, but they're seen more often now.
What do they look like, Aqua?
Well, they're kind of like saucers, but they're usually too far away. But I can usually, sometimes you see them close, sometimes they're not so close. But they do disappear. You can see them disappear.
Is there a certain color that they are, that they share
look like
with?
They're glowing, kind of like it's a chrome, like very reflective.
Are you saying there's a little bit of ruffle going on? Is it kind of a metallic? Is it metallic or is it energy?
It's metallic. You can see like light. It looks like light coming off it, but it's reflective, kind of, and it's very unusual.
There's one here right now. I'm outside.
So there's who's is this 952? You're saying you see a UFO right now?
Yeah, he's outside. I'm outside walking, and he's right there.
Mom, can you say hi?
Yeah, I say hi. I say hi every night. They come every night to the same. I'm walking down the street. We only have a foot of snow. I'm sick.
What are the dogs doing right now? Are the dogs reacting in the usual way? Are they aware?
Yeah. They'll go up and down if I ask them to. He's right there. He's blinking red, green.
Well, why don't you just concentrate? And if they get in closer, you better start getting out your camera.
My camera's in the basement.
Go right down there. Get the camera in the basement right now, and then come back out, and then share these pictures with us.
Okay.
If we can, we're on the radio live right now, and we'd like to share the experience of what you're having here.
Here, put me on hold now. Run.
1970 area code 818339. While she's grabbing her camera in the in the basement, which I suggest you do right now because that's what Third Phase of Moon viewers and listeners all want to see the evidence.
I have something to say too.
But can you get into your 1979 or 77 UFO sighting? 74.
Oh, well,
what was it?
It's in 74, and it was me and my sister, and it's kind of a long story, but I'll go into it. My mom came to the front door and she said, "Hey kids, got to come in. It was getting cold," and we said, "Okay." And my sister said, "Hey, we're going to stay out a little bit longer because, of course, you couldn't just obey your mom right away, So, and I said, "Sure," And if she hadn't said that, we wouldn't have seen it. But we sat there for a little while longer, 10 minutes or so. And Mom came to the door a second time and said, "Hey, kids, come on. It's time to get in. I told you." I said, "Okay." And this is, of course, we had to move. And she said, "Hey, we got to go." Right? So we get up. She's about 13. I'm about 10. And we get up and walk around the side of the house. We had a small side walk leading up to the kitchen door. And the first thing I noticed was my shadow in front of me, our shadows in front of me, as if there was a light behind us. And I knew there was no street light back there. The nearest street light was down the street. So I look behind me, and I see a rather large, it was substantial. It wasn't just a little dot in the sky, but it was rather large, and it was a disc, and it was glowing white. And it wasn't hard to look at. It wasn't so bright it was hurting my eyes, but it was bright enough to cast my shadow, And it moved over. It moved out of the north, and it moved into a spot where it hovered over a factory that was just a half block down the street from us, right at the end of our block. And I said, "Judy, look." and I pointed at it, and she looked up, and she wasn't ready for this at all, she was rather biblically minded, a church-going family, a church-going girl, and she whimpered a lot. She said, "Oh, no, what is it? What's going to happen? Oh, no," and she was whimpering, and she was upset, and all I could say was, "Shut up." So I screamed at her, "Shut up," and we sat there and watched it for a few seconds. It hovered over a factory that was called Durkee's Famous Foods. This is a factory that produced, like, condiments and spices and food products of that sort. They had a lot of cooking oil, a lot of canola, a lot of different, they had lard and giant storage tanks that surrounded the factory. These tanks were big circular tanks. They looked a lot like silos, and they were maybe 30 feet tall, 20 feet across, but they held everything from, like I said, lard to corn oil to any sort of food product, and that was just where they stored their raw materials. And this thing hovered over the factory for about, 5, 6, maybe 10 seconds. And the bottom and when it came to a complete stop, it wasn't glowing white anymore. The glow had died down, and it was just a metallic disc. And you could see the reflection of the street, not sharp mirror reflections, but you could see the light from the street lights illuminating it. And you could see that it looked metallic. It definitely had a metallic sheen. And the bottom of the saucer, and it was just a saucer, the bottom of it, pretty quickly, as soon as it came to a stop, illuminated with the kind of like little pinprick lights that swam across the surface. They didn't look like lights that were affixed to the surface like it would be on a metallic surface, but these were just little pinprick colored lights, and they were vivid colors. They were vivid blue, greens, purples, every color of the spectrum, red, yellow, orange colors, and they were cycling through the colors of the spectrum as they swam across the bottom of the disc. And then it only was there for a few seconds, and then I don't recall seeing it move before it vanished, but it just blinked out and became a streak of light heading to the south. And this was a streak of electrically colored, like lightning-colored light. And it flashed real bright, and then it faded from our sight. And I looked down at the kitchen door, and my sister-in-law had come out, my brand-new sister-in-law, who had just married my brother. She was 8 months pregnant. Had just come out the kitchen door, and she was looking up because she saw us out the side yard looking up, wonder what we were looking at. And I said, "Kathy, you saw it." And she said, "I saw a streak of light." "What was that streak of light?" And I said, No, you saw the flying saucer." And she said, "No, I saw a streak of light. What was that?" And I said, "Good enough." I remember saying this. It was like, "That's good enough. You saw part of it." I ran in the house, and I told Mom and Dad that we had just seen a flying saucer. Mom and Dad knew this was out of the ordinary. They knew that we weren't the kind of kids to make up weird stories, and we were biblically, because like I said, it was a biblical family. We went to church all the time, so none of us told lies. We were raised to not be liars and cheats and stuff like that. So they knew it was strange that I was saying this, and my sister was standing next to me while I was trying to explain to them, and she just sat there and began crying, and she went over to Mom and laid her head on Mom's shoulder. What Mom then said, "What did you do to her?" Like I had pulled a trick on her or something. So that upset me that they weren't believing us. And then I started to cry. And then my sister-in-law came up behind us and said, "No, guys, they're not making this up." They were looking out at something in the side yard, and I looked up and I saw the tail end of it. And then at that point, Mom and Dad actually believed us, which was really offensive as a kid that nobody would believe us until that point. They had to have a 19-year-old girl come in and verify it for us, and they believed her no problem. So that was offensive to me. So I ran off to my bedroom and had a good cry. I didn't know this at the time, but the next day, Dad had gone across, and Dad would never let us talk about this. He just told us that we don't know what it was. They could have been demons from hell. We don't know, so we needed to shut up and not stop talking about it. And he was really upset at any time we even mentioned it. I found out 25 years later when I was fishing with my dad on his bass boat that he had gone across the street, and he had talked to a neighbor across the street. And Mr. Lehman was his name. He called him Old Man Lehman. And he told Mr. Lehman the next day that, "Well, my kids are making up a strange story about seeing flying saucers. Isn't that crazy? You ever heard anything like that?" And Mr. Lehman told him, "Well, I saw your kids standing out in the side yard," because Mr. Lehman was on his porch every day, every night, him and his wife. That's all they did was sit on the porch, watch the traffic go by. They're in their 80s or 70s or something. He said, "Well, Jay, they did see what they saw because I saw them standing in your side yard looking up, and I went over to the edge of the porch to look up, and I saw it too. But I'm not going to tell anybody about it because, of course, people think you're crazy." And so Dad knew the entire time we were telling the truth. And he told me this when I mentioned to him once, we were out fishing on his bass boat, and I said, Dad, the only time in my life that I felt I didn't have any friends in the family was when you and Mom didn't believe us about the UFO. And he said, listen to me. Shut up and listen. And he was serious. He said, now, let me tell you something. And he told me about Mr. Lehman. He said, so I knew you were always telling the truth about that, but you don't know what they could have been demons from hell. And I said, okay, we've been over this, the demons from hell thing. We've been over that before. At least you know I was telling the truth. And he said, yeah, I know you're telling the truth, but stop talking about it. And again, he just didn't want me. At this point, I'm 30 years old, right, or 35 at that point. But anyway, that was my experience. I know that these things are real. It doesn't matter if, when I tell this story, it doesn't matter if anybody believes me or not. It makes no difference whatsoever. I know what I saw. I know what my sister-in-law saw. I know what Mr. Lehman across the street saw. And I know that these are real. And the thing is, it bugged me. Why would they put a light show on the bottom of their saucer to draw attention? That always bugged me. But then I heard about the Rendlesham Forest, or rather the Malmstrom Air Base incident when the nuclear missiles were shut down. And there's other incidents in Soviet Union where they messed with the nuclear missiles. Those tanks look like they could have been missile silos. And the only thing I've come to realize or to assume is that they were hovering over the factory, checking out those tanks to find out what was inside of them. And when they saw that there was just cooking oil and lard and ingredients inside of them, they took off in a flash of light. And that's what I think it was about. And but that's basically my only UFO sighting ever. But 4 of us witnessed it, and it was verified. I mean, the old man across the street told Dad, hey, your kids aren't making up stories, you know. But that's about it. And also, you know, the creepiest thing was, and I'll never forget this, whenever I hear the word crickets, whenever I hear crickets chirping, this always reminds me of that night, because while it was there for those few seconds, everything went dead silent. And all I could hear was the passing traffic on the adjacent street. It was Shelby Avenue. I was on Camp Street. Shelby was the street where the factory was on, and all I could hear were cars passing. And then when the thing took off, the crickets came back on like somebody flicked a switch, you know. And whenever I hear crickets chirping, I always think about that night. And I talk to my sister about this every time I see her, and I talked to my sister-in-law for the first time in 20 years at my dad's funeral a couple of years ago. She remembers it. She hadn't thought about it since 20 years ago or so, you know, or longer. But I remind her about it, and she said, that's right, I forgot all about that. That happened. And I told her about the old man across the street verifying everything, and their dad was laying in a coffin, and I said, and he wouldn't tell us at all until we were out fishing one night, and he told me that it was verified by the guy across the street. But that was my only experience. And like I said, you know, I know this is real. I know my experience actually happened, and it bugs the heck out of me when I see someone hoaxing something. And I can tell you guys for a fact, if you look at the Billy Myers photos, look at the depth of field in the photos. Those are miniatures. Those are miniatures. And it really bugs me when you guys don't discern from an obvious hoax and give it the time of day the way you do. And that's all I have to say, really. But you know, you guys do a good job. Keep up the good work, and I'll go back to listening. But thanks a lot.
All right, Jay. You know, appreciate the detailed story from 1974. It sounds incredible. You witnessed something, you know, that most people don't have a chance in their lifetime to witness. And I could understand the point where when you're trying to explain your experience to somebody, especially your parents or family members, and they don't believe you, that could be quite devastating at the same time. And that happens with a lot of people with their UFO sightings. As far as the Billy Meyer footage, you know, the people at Third Phase of Moon, when we posted the videos and the documentary that we had rights given for Michael Horn, I remember as a child watching Billy Meyer and fascinated with his incredible broad daylight photos. And I agree, you know, that these are sensationalistic, controversial photos. But we at Third Phase Moon kind of have a policy. If people want to demand and they want to share and have their own belief system, hey, we're going to share it, because we had a lot of people out there wanting more information. And there was a new photo that Michael Horn shared with us about this black and white wedding cake photo. Yeah, sure, maybe it looks ridiculous and like a model, but 30 years later, it was enhanced on Photoshop and some brightness contrast added to it. And there were some interesting elements that revealed that it may appear that it looked like, instead of against a black screen, that it was, maybe a craft hovering over. Not exactly sure what's going on, Jay. And I appreciate your honesty. And, obviously, in this business, nobody's going to be 100%. It's unidentified. And, we try and filter out a lot of the obvious hoaxes that do come in, but we don't 100% get it right all the time. It's hard to keep up on it. But, Jay, stand by. Appreciate the call, and we're going to get to other callers right now. Area code 323, okay. Welcome. Thank you, Jay.
Hi, Blake.
Area code 323, welcome to Space.
Hi, Blake. This is Robert Bingham.
Mr. Robert Bingham, the man who summons UFOs. Welcome to Third Phase. What's going on?
Well, I was listening to Jay. I could see where one experience is hard to believe that he's seen it, and there is probably a lot of hoaxes out there. I don't want to get into who I think is putting the hoaxes or used to put hoaxes, but I'd like to mention about Adamski. What I discovered during my time of doing all this over the last 14 years, I discovered not too long ago that they do come in bubbles, which look, their technology, they look like bubbles, and it's easy to get around without people suspecting anything but a bubble. And they've done this quite a number of times to me. But when I saw an old footage that Adamski did back in the 60s of a bubble, similar one, I realized that he had did this way back then, and that I'm just rediscovering, these things, some of them.
What's interesting is that, Jay called in, minutes after Elizabeth called in. I think Elizabeth is grabbing her camera in the basement. There's a UFO outside her house right now. And they both explained that there's this clicking, chirping sound that always brings back this kind of memory. It's basically a post-traumatic stress disorder is what it is, because you've experienced something so hardcore in your life, you're never going to forget it. It's a once-in-a-lifetime kind of event, and your brain's not going to let you forget it. It's quite interesting that you have these regressions with these clicks. It kind of reminds me of the same things that veterans will say when they're at war. What's up with anybody have any questions? Robert Bingham's having his event coming up on Sunday at the MacArthur Park. Anybody have any questions for Robert Bingham?
Robert, can
yes.
you tell me more about the beings that you are summoning?
Well, I could tell you that they're benevolent and that...
what race are they?
That I couldn't tell you. I don't think...
Have you ever seen them?
I've read... Well, I actually have seen... I have photos of a few of them.
Okay.
But I haven't made one... I have a few that I haven't made public yet. I have over 20,000 videos that I haven't made public. But,
do any of them look human?
Well, they do look, they have eyes and ears, and I can give you a brief description. On one of the photos, because there's a few different ones, on one of the photos, if you look at the Egyptian pyramids, the tombs, they have paintings on the wall of the Egyptians with big eyes. And it looks like they have a mascara, around their big eyes. And, without the makeup, they do have big eyes, but not exaggerated big eyes like what we think they are. And they do have long faces and long necks and larger ears. Longer ears. Long faces.
Do they have pointy ears and a snout?
No. They look human, but they just have longer faces and longer.
They sound Pleiadian.
Pardon me?
They sound Pleiadian.
Well, I couldn't tell you that because my deal is what I do. I don't know if you know what I do. I have a relationship with them, but it's not important, I think. The important thing is that we get prepared for their arrival, and they are going to change the world for the better, that we don't destroy the planet. And we stop using certain things that are killing the planet. And they're coming. They're here to neutralize everything that's destroying everything.
I hope that's true 120%. But sadly, we just talked to Dr. Jacobs, and he said that there's been a change with abductions. He wrote this book called The Threat. And Robert, I got to make you aware of this. This is something, a new thought going on. Recently, abductees have been, when they've been abducted in the past and they've been used with their sperm and ova to create hybrids, they were later shown, those children, and told to show them love and interact with them, and they were observed by the ETs. This is what millions of them report from around the world, okay? Well, now recently in the last 10, 15 years, what the abductees are reporting is they're not saying go show them love and go interact with them. They're saying go, and they simulate, a house, a kitchen, a store. They say show them how to open a door. Show them what to buy in a grocery store. Show them how to operate a kitchen. And what does that tell you? Dr. Jacobs is saying that he believes the invasion is already coming, because you got to remember, no one's going to come blow up anything, because why would you use a planet that wouldn't be blown up? But nonetheless, there are those camps that believe there's nothing can happen to this. There's supposed to be this galactic federation. Dr. Greer talks about that too, where there are beings out there that would protect us, that nothing would happen. So there are two camps out there, but I got to tell you that there is that new camp that says, well, hold on a second, there is some race that is definitely infiltrating us.
Well, there's good and bad out there, of course, but I'm going to say this.
Good and bad here.
I do not spread fear. I do not spread fear at all. And if this guy, Dr. whatever his name is, what are his credentials? Does he have a relationship with them up there, or does he go out there publicly and bring them down like I do? John?
No, he doesn't.
But
then how could you believe somebody who does not do that?
He's just an alien abduction specialist. He's one of those that,
I went down to the UFO Congress and personally summoned a craft there, and Open Minds was there, and they filmed it, and they interviewed me. But that was my mission, to go down there and do that. But there was a ton of people inside the conference, and, were selling the books and doing their speeches. But which one of them really have a relationship bringing out craft? I don't know, but I went down there, and that's what it's all about, John. If you can bring them down, sure. I will believe, that you have.
They're waiting to be called down, aren't they? People are waiting to be made.
Well, they're not waiting. They're here.
Yeah.
They've been here, and they're here, and they are trying to neutralize all the nukes. And once they do, they're going to really. That's a fact. They've been nuclear tampering since at least 1967, if not before. Well, of course, and the government is, in fact, using UFO technology for the
weapons,
the firing sequence to arm a nuclear device, and they keep it's just a cat and mouse game. But
Robert,
neutralize
we were talking about Bassett's disclosure first. His project to move this year to end disclosure this summer. What can you do with your summoning? Because you've already taught people how to summon, and they're now trying to teach others, and they're spreading a storm so they could go on. But what can you do?
The whole thing is to spread this like a pebble falling in a lake. The ripple goes round. Gets bigger and bigger. And by this summoning technique and teaching people, I have people from Germany, Norway, Colombia, everywhere around the country, world, that are sending me positive results. And so when this envelops the world, of course, they're not going to be falling for this spread of fear. Come on now. The people that are running this world are destroying it, all in the name of profit, in the name of money and greed. And this got to stop. Basically, it's got to stop. It can't go on. And all the animals are dying, all the sea creatures. It's just not going to go anymore. This planet is not ours to destroy.
Well, I think the planet is some people say the planet is in peril. The planet's the climate change is bad for the planet. Well, it's really not bad for the planet. The planet's not going anywhere. It's basically us little human beings that are occupying it have to worry about things. The planet is going to take care of itself. Eventually, the sun will engulf it and take it out. Supernova. But, everybody stand by. I want to get back. If anybody has questions for Robert Bingham, we have time. We're going to have an extended Third Phase of Moon radio show. But I just wanted to go to some callers calling in. And everybody out there, this is the place to report your UFO sighting and share the information. So let's go to area code 702. Welcome to Third Phase of Moon. Tell us your name and where you're calling from. And if you have any questions, you want to share a story, go ahead.
Yeah, my name is John. I'm just going to go by John because I just want to kind of stay anonymous. When I was younger, I would...
Where are you calling from, John? Go ahead. We'll keep your name...
Las Vegas.
Yep.
I'm calling from Las Vegas. Well, I've called actually in before and showed you footage of a V-shaped object, which you guys, said could possibly be a reverse technology. But, I started looking deeper and everything. And I remember back when I was younger, and I would just, I could miss time when I was younger. I would wake up at my friend's house when I knew I was at my mother's house. And my friends are asking me, how did you get in the house? The doors are locked. How did you get in? I don't remember how I got there. I don't remember anything. I would do the same thing at my grandmother's house. Now, I don't remember how I could have gotten in the house. My grandmother has also said, there's no way you could have possibly gotten in the house. You were not here before. How did you get in? So, there's misplaced time there that, my father even asked me, how did you do it? The windows, anything, nothing was disturbed. They just don't know. I mean, it's really just unexplained. It couldn't be just a normal sleepwalking. That's why they were really concerned with me. But nothing really came of it. And then it's, I was really, really young. I'd have problems sleeping. I'd wet the bed, be sweating like all kinds of crazy. I mean, it wasn't the first time I saw something in the sky. It's just I actually caught it on camera this time. And, people are saying that, these are, things that are good and such. What they're trying to do is they're trying to figure out if their DNA is capable of correlating with our DNA. Now, you got to understand when you're bringing two DNA structures together, you're also bringing susceptibility to other diseases and other possibilities of mutations and different things. So they're worried about if they do have sexual intercourse and there is a quote-unquote hybrid child, how would it function with a certain kind of DNA and what diseases would be, what would it be susceptible to? We've seen that in dog breeding with English bulldogs and pit bulls, how they're susceptible to more diseases because they're a man-made breeded dog. That's what they're trying to figure out with the abductions. That's the only thing that I could gather.
Well, I think you really don't have enough research or enough time behind you. You just
no, I really don't.
Well, then
I like that.
Wait.
I agree with that.
I'm talking. How could you spread this type of fear? I mean, that is simply ridiculous, man. I just can't understand how you could be saying this stuff on radio.
Well, the sense of fear I'm feeling is being misplaced and having time and seeing these things.
You're talking as if you're a scientist and you know about chromosomes, DNA, and mixing all this up. I truly believe they don't want to be doing that with us. These are pure beings that don't really, they're trying to help us out. They're not trying to destroy us.
Well, then why are they,
but wait,
what are they doing with the probing and the sexual acts and all this stuff?
I did say there is bad up there and there's good. You got fallen angels,
okay.
You got good angels. What are you after? I mean, if you're after the
I'm just saying if I was up there and I was a scientist trying to figure things out.
If you're after the negative part and spreading fear, then that's what you're going to get. Now, you got to realize that if you talk positive, if you seek positive things, that's what.
No, I didn't say it was bad. I just said that
that's what I heard.
Misplacing time is scary because it's not upon my will to misplace time. I mean, wouldn't you agree? I'm just saying that it might possibly not be a bad thing because disclosure is coming about.
Well, look here. Let me tell you something. Do you ever say the Lord's Prayer?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay, when you say the Lord's Prayer, you're saying, "Our Father who art in heaven, holy be thy name, thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Jesus is coming, and he's coming to set his government down here, and purely simple as that. And he's bringing his angels, his mighty forces, his legions, and he's going to set house here on the earth, and that's it.
702, any comment on that? Go ahead.
Well, I understand that God is a creator, and he is the creator of all galaxies, universes, and everything, but he is also possibly the creator of other beings and other constellations. And yes, I've been to college, and yes, I've studied things. No, I'm not a scientist, and I'm not a doctor of any sort, but I'm intelligent enough to know that also the studies that we have done thus far, as far as the spring effect in the universe, does not contradict
the Lord's Prayer. Then you must
the Lord's Prayer
is coming down, right?
Yes, he is coming down, but he is also the creator of everything and also other beings. We can get on religion all you want,
do you think he knows what he's doing? Do you think he knows what he's doing?
He knows exactly what he's doing, and it is a good thing. But when you misplace time as a person, it is fearful because it is not upon my will. That's all I'm saying as far as fear. Okay, because this is something greater than me, and it is intimidating.
And all that.
Everybody stand by. Everybody stand by. We got to give everybody call time. People are calling into Third Phase of Moon. That's what it's all about. And we'll get back into the debate, what's going on here. You never know what's going to happen live on the radio. But let's go to area code 805. You're live on Third Phase of Moon. Welcome. Tell us where you're calling from, what's your name, and do you have anything to say in regards to the debate happening right now, or do you have a UFO sign?
Kind of. Hey, guys, my first time calling out from Santa Barbara, California. My name is Frank. I'm kind of new to this, but the reason I'm calling,
welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Thank you. I served back between 2001 and 2005 in the Marine Corps, and during my time in Iraq, we experienced a lot of certain things that I was really confused and in denial about. And during my time serving, of course, we have to keep a blind eye on the things we were saying and doing. We got to be really careful, We sign pretty much a contract of privacy and keep everything now shut. But in 2005, after our Fallujah, incident, I was handicapped, though, like 2007, came back to the States, and I had an experience where we had to go down to, San Luis Obispo area base for retraining, and they asked us what happened on the incident, what happened during our time in Iraq, and what happened during our missions, and what happened. It was kind of like a debriefing after, it was like reunions and stuff. And they asked us about the incident that happened in 2003 near Ramadi, where during the nighttime they were testing some type of equipment that we weren't aware of. It had to be with the Air Force and the Army, and we were just ordered to patrol the area, the perimeter, the surroundings of that territory. We were told it was friendly area. So let me just get to the point because it's going to get long and I have the kids awake here. They asked us to patrol the area during the night, and we had an experience where a bunch of spheres started coming down, really bright spheres near our location. We were told to ignore the lights. It was part of their training. And then they started telling us it was flares. We weren't dumb because we know what flares look like and how they float. After a couple hours, we started having some experiences where we started feeling really like noxious. Like we could, our ears were beeping. We were really noxious. We couldn't tell what it was to the point that I started vomiting, And our command. Yes, I'm sorry.
Wow, we just lost area code 805. Everybody stand by. He basically was telling us that there was a UFO sighting over a base. Where was it? In Iraq. And he basically, they told him there are flares. but they weren't. He knew better that they were not flares. What they're experiencing was something else. If area code 805 could call back, we'd love to hear the rest of the story. But, hey, you know, he was physically sick after this problem. And right when he was about to explain what was wrong and get into the medical, he was just cut off. We don't know exactly what's going on. There was some kind of distraction. But let's get back to this, you know, what is going on around the world and this UFO phenomenon. People just want to report their sightings right here at Third Phase Moon. Get the word out, the debate. I'll let everybody, you know, feel free, chime in. What's going on? It's tonight.
Blake,
go ahead.
Blake, you know that the race is on between the high powers, the big countries like Russia, China, United States, India, even Cuba. They're after the technology by downing these crafts and backward engineering them. So who knows how far they have come. I mean, I'm sure each one of these countries have their own Area 51. And what
they've
they're doing with
dozens around them.
What they're doing with the technology, who knows? So you know, you got all that up there too. So it's a big arena, and to figure it all out, you know,
so
all you got to know is that they're coming down to take care of things.
Can you guys hear
Hello?
me? Hello.
Yes, we hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, you know, this is kind of ironic because after I mentioned how, you know, it really irritates me because from whenever I hear someone or see someone hoax something, it was so ironic that the next person to come on is Robert Bingham. I went to the triple summoning event down in South LA with Fausto Perez, and Mr. Bingham was there, and so was the Martin, the dude. I can't think of his first name. His last name is Martin.
Martin.
And yeah, I was there with a friend of mine, and you know, we were the first to show up, and Mr. Bingham probably remembers, but he showed up with his friend, and we talked for a little while, and Mr. Bingham told me, you know, sometimes UFOs disguise themselves as balloons. And I thought that was so strange when he said that. But so we sat there and we wait for a while, and everybody shows up, and then Fausto shows up late, and the balloons are already flying in the air. And there was nothing but...
Wait, sir. Go to my event on Sunday, all right? Please go to my event. But I remember you, and I don't remember talking to you. I remember you standing on the side. I watched you. I seen you there.
Yeah.
I knew who you were. So
don't
tell me that you talked to me because you did not talk to me.
I watched the balloons fly through the air.
You did not
I watched
talk
the balloons
to me,
fly through the air.
They're not balloons, and I've got a lot of videos. Just watch my videos. Don't try to discredit me because I have a lot of material. And I know what I'm talking about.
There's nothing
Let me ask you, do you work for the government, sir? Are you a DARPA agent? Do you work for the government or another element?
No, I'm a special effects artist, and I understand how to use After Effects. And I also noticed on Fausto Perez's...
I definitely believe that you're way off course because you don't know me. You don't know anything about me.
Let me talk. Well, you shut people up enough time for you to shut up.
Because they're not.
Yeah, you can let me talk now, okay? I've done visual effects for 15 years.
You're making me look silly.
Mr. Bingham, please be quiet. It's my turn to talk. Hello? Can you still hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Mr. Bingham told me they sometimes disguise themselves as balloons, and I thought, well, that's a strange thing to say. Why would he say that? And then after a few hours, everybody shows up. Fausto shows up late. He's taken a pack of balloons upwind, and his friends already releasing them. And then we realize, a bunch of us there realize that they're balloons, and people start leaving.
Hey, Blake, so then a guy this guy's really making me look bad.
Mr. Bingham, Fausto Perez.
No, wait.
Fausto Perez has taken. He watches tutorials on After Effects.
Be there Sunday at Park Plaza at 11 a.m., sir.
And you can watch all the balloons being lifted off in the air, and they'll do nothing but float along in the wind with strings hanging down from them.
It's easy to talk, but you know what? Yeah, you're just ridiculous. You know, you're the people that are going to keep the people blinded by all of this, so you guys that are running this agenda.
You will never see anything besides a balloon floating on the wind. And this man charges people to take summoning lessons. He's making money from people wanting to learn how to summon
this guy's for real.
UFOs. And that's all Robert Bingham and Fausto Perez are hoaxers, and they put this subject to shame. And like I said, after witnessing having it stay with me my whole life, it really irritates me to see someone hoaxing.
You can irritate you all you want. And for number one, I've been doing this 14 years, have not made very much money.
You've been hoaxing for 14 years?
And don't tell me I'm making some money, because you have no idea. You know, you are talking nonsense, and go back to crawling to your hole that you came from.
Man, I was there. I watched you guys. All that flew in the air was latex and mylar balloons with strings hanging from them. And most of us left. Myself and Patrick stayed, and we photographed them. I made a YouTube videos called "The Balloon Summoners." I've put it up, and every time I saw you guys on the third phase, I would post my photo or my video, and I would say, "Look, these guys are summoning balloons." And most people know it. Anyone who's been to the thing knows that you're just summoning balloons from upwind. People are letting balloons off.
Let me step in here real quick. I know, the debate gets hardcore. People have their opinions. And, right here at Third Phase of the Moon, we're not going to censor opinions by any means. That's not what we do. We let people share them. You see them in the comments below. People state it all the time right here at YouTube, Third Phase of the Moon. But I want to say this is what's going on here, in my opinion. In 1974, you had an experience that was so overwhelming with your sister. And, you couldn't. This is something that's incredible, your experience you just shared on Third Phase Moon. When you go to a Robert Bingham event, maybe you're looking for something that you had this experience you had 14 years ago, or when you were 14.
Not really. I'm looking for something that doesn't have a string hanging down from the bottom of it. And they haven't even got. They should
there
at least
are photos and stuff that can come out of these events, and we're not going to be posting videos that have strings and balloons off of them. You watch Third Phase Moon all the time. You're seeing the videos that we post from these events. Some of them, are quite interesting. People are around. People are there. Maybe there might be something that's up there in the sky keeping an eye on what's going on the ground. We don't know.
Sure.
They could be military drones in their certain points. Obviously, there are.
Blake?
Yeah, I got you.
The thing is, they simply use
pictures
After
and videos
Effects.
I got that look very suspicious to balloons. I totally accept that. Go ahead.
I was going to say that they simply After Effects enhance the balloons. They can wipe out the string if they need to. And I swear, the next day after this triple event that I went to, Fausto posted some videos with some balloons shooting off from the other balloons, and that was simply an After Effects trick where he clones it and pulls it off to one side. You know how you stabilize a piece of footage? When you guys have your logo and you walk in front of the logo, that footage is totally stabilized. It's an After Effects trick. Plus, you can blue screen the sky and pull a matte off of the sky, and then use that matte to enhance and brighten or flicker the illumination, make it look like the balloon is illuminated or like it's flickering. And that's what they do. They blue screen the sky so that they pull a matte off, and then you can blur the sky to get rid of the string, and then all you're left with is just a balloon which looks illuminated if you pump the white levels up on it or you amp the gamma up. And this is all I saw done. I mean, the same balloons I witnessed and photographed with my 300 millimeter lens, I saw in their videos with no string, but I saw them brightened and color corrected to be illuminated to look as if they were a bright orb, when really it was a pink latex balloon or a mylar square or a mylar star. They even used standard party balloons like the square and the star mylar balloons. And everybody was so disappointed that people just started leaving. And at the end, there was a very small crowd of about 15 people, all pointing in the sky. And there's a documentary filmmaker there who was filming them a little bit. But it was just a depressing event. It was really depressing to see. I really had faith that Robert Bingham was doing something in the order of like what Dr. Greer does in his SETI missions, where some pretty amazing stuff actually does happen. But these are just balloons.
Well, absolutely everybody has their own opinion, and we like that you share it right here. I've never been to an event personally with Robert Bingham. We've invited him to come down here to the state of Hawaii and do it for us with our own eyes and our own cameras. And, we'll look forward to it. We're not about to give up on them. But I can understand going out to an event, having your heart set on to see a UFO, and then there's suspicious activity. Let me tell you, if anybody's down there and there's suspicious activity, we'd like to see it at Third Phase of Moon. Let us know. We just haven't seen that yet. But if anybody's on the ground on Sunday and you see or speculate that there's something fishy going on, hey, we're going to share that with Third Phase. But we're running down. We got 2 minutes left on our Third Phase of Moon channel, and I wanted to give everybody last words right here. So let's go with the area code 952. Any last words for Third Phase of Moon? You've been on for the whole show. Go ahead.
No, I just sent you a video that I just took of them outside right now.
So, okay, we're going to be news again. The news still comes into Third Phase of Moon, and we're going to be taking a look at that radio, the new video coming in. 970, go ahead. Any last words? Nine 970's on area code.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. I'm sorry, I tried talking and I didn't realize you couldn't hear me. I'm going to say that I have something else to say. It might be worth talking about, but it involves a long explanation. All I have to say is that there's been some phenomena in the sky, and my mom actually had a dream recently she never dreamed. It was about, like, a UFO, and I think it's worth enough for me to tell you about. She dreamed that she was doing something at Home Depot. Something was going on. She was in a building, and then a whole bunch of birds started rushing to the building. And when she looked out to the sky, in the distance, she saw this orb of light that it was kind of like light, and it was making, like, octopus-like electricity/light. It was, like, light electricity. And it was a very, like, awe-inspiring and kind of fearful moment for her. And the woman never dreamed, so this is something to me.
Controversial radio show, but hey, this is what Third Phase of Moon's all about. I want to thank everybody around the world that subscribes to Third Phase of Moon and submits their incredible videos, because without them, we wouldn't be here. Everybody, keep your eyes on the skies. If you're in Sochi Olympics, have your cameras ready. Something's going on. And if you capture something incredible, submit it to us via Skype or Facebook. My name's Blake Cousins, and we'll see you again next time.